Hey, I'm Ivy. I'm a competitive Splatoon 3 player, and I'm currently the #1 ranked roller user on Sendo Dying. I finished top 500 in X rank before, and I've got over 1500 games with the weapon. Today I'm going to share as much as I can about the weapon and how to use it competitively. At the end of the video I'll go over a replay and explain my thought process when using the weapon to hopefully help you guys. Horizontal flicks paint more than vertical flicks, and are your most consistent way to get picks. If you can get in range of your opponent, it's difficult to miss a one-shot. With rollers, it's also best to aim down slightly to maximize your damage. You can also aim directly up to get kills on people behind walls or obstacles. When fighting people on the same elevation as you, it's a good idea to short hop, so it mixes up your movement slightly and gives your shots a better trajectory. The one thing you need to be careful of when close range is shooting too off far to the side. This happens a lot more in matches than in training due to latency. Vertical flicks are slower and harder to hit than horizontal flicks, but deal more consistent damage at a close range and help you win fights against opponents that are further away. You can use vertical flicks as a poking tool, and they're generally a lot better at helping you fight opponents when under ledges. When you can't get in range to kill with horizontal flicks consistently, vertical flicks are your best bet. Only a few good use cases for rolling. The most useful ones are rolling to help camp jumps against weapons that have dodge rolls or drop roller, and rolling to help you reposition when low on ink. Sometimes you can't afford a full flick, but you can roll. This can give you enough ink to squid roll away. You can squid roll straight out of a roll. This can be a useful and good skill to practice being consistent at. Rolling can be a good way to get away from ledges when you're being poked at, and it can also help you paint walls in some scenarios. Most of the time it's bad to go for a roll kill. There are times when you'll be right next to someone and you have the ink to roll them over, but not enough time or ink to secure the kill with the flick. Rolling can also be an effective way to deal with certain specials, like hammer or ink back. Curling bomb is your primary movement tool. You can use it to quickly get to and from places, but you need to be cautious as following the trail can be very predictable. Curling bomb can help you poke at ledges, be used to guard choke points, or be kept around walls to try and surprise opponents. When you're on defense or neutral, it's a good idea to spam curling bombs for paint and pressure. I frequently like to use curling bombs to bait opponents. You'll have to check if you're swimming through the trail, which can let you take space on a different side of the map. Curling bombs can also help paint walls more efficiently, and can be used very situationally to combo with the main weapon. Bubble is currently one of the strongest specials in the game due to how well it lets you hold space and counter aggressive specials like Zuka, Crab, and Inkjet. Roller players can often use Bubble more selfishly than other weapons in order to secure picks or to protect themselves from a dangerous situation. But you do need to know when you can Bubble for yourself and when to use Bubble to help with the objective. Bubble is an extremely useful special when retaking, as it gives you a safe area to shoot at the objective from, and it gives your team space to move. And on offense, you can use Bubble to secure points for the objective. If your team doesn't have many specials, or won't have them in time for a push or defense, it can be highly valuable to prioritize playing for it. You can also jump to your own bubble after it's been placed, but it's usually too risky. As soon as you place down your bubble, you'll need to be careful, as it'll be a target for the enemy team to shoot at. You want to quickly shred it, or spam bombs on it to keep it from puking out of the bubble. For builds, I have 3 main builds that I like to switch between for comp. The first one is this quick respawn build. This is the main one that I use, or currently the main build that I use most of the time. This is my default. It's really good in this meta, especially on Roller, a weapon that forces trades a lot and can play super annoying with QR. Like, you can just like stall around sides or like drop and be annoying and know that it's fine because you have QR. It's also really good against comps that you're forced to kind of feed into, or comps where you're going to get traded out a lot. Like stuff like Tetra Wiper Junior something. Like comps that have a lot of like rush down weapons that are going to try to just run at you and you're going to shark out and you're probably going to get traded since they're always fighting together. Or comps that like kind of just don't really have weapons that you can win fights against well, or like just really strong fighting weapons. Stuff like Slosher or Gal maybe. Well, maybe less Slosher, but like stuff, basically just stuff that's gonna kill you a lot. QR is pretty good because when you do trade with Roller, oftentimes you will get QR popped. And with QR you can play around Cooler really effectively. So with QR Roller, it's not really like I'm playing like a Tetra, I'm just going to run in, I'm going to feed, and I'm going to fight all the time. The main thing that I'm trying to do with quick respawn is wait for Cooler, play around that. When I get Cooler, I can go in and I can fight, and then I can die. And let's just say I trade with Cooler, and my team gets an advantage off that, because when we're pushing with Cooler, we get an advantage, I trade, and as soon as I'm back, I have QR, so I can just go and feed and get another trade, and then come back with QR, and then wait for another Cooler, and that cycle repeats. So it's a lot about just getting positive trades with Cooler and like using Cooler to get your QR back up and dying without really having any downsides. It's all about having good deaths. It's a really fun play style. I also have I still have quick super jump on this build, just because quick super jump is super strong on roller in general. There are a few like ability slots you could change. Like the one swim speed up is kind of just a personal thing. I really like having swim speed with bubble because it helps you get into more aggressive positions. That could also easily be like a bomb defense against stuff like Slosher or Range Blaster, so you can stay out of their combos. Or it could just be more QR or more quick super jump. It's really up to preference. Same thing with Special Saver. I think Special Saver is really good on roller because you get bubble pretty fast, but the main time or the most important time you're gonna need bubble is on retake. And usually you're on retake after your team wipes or you go a couple down or whatever. So if you die, you really want to get that special up as fast as you can, which is why having Special Saver is really helpful in my opinion. And also, some people don't use the 1 ink resistance, but just trust me, it's so good. Like there'll be situations you're in where you'll take a tiny bit of damage over and over again, and that will probably lead to you dying, and ink resistance just prevents that. Even though you can play around your curling bombs to make it so like you don't need it as much, in my opinion, it's still super valuable. One thing you see really commonly on QR builds is comeback, but personally, I don't use comeback most of the time. I use it depends on the comp. There'll be some comps where comeback is way better. Like if you don't have any specials really to play off of. So like, you got, I don't know, roller, heavy, 52, and then junior. Like a comp like that, you basically have to play through your bubble as much as you can, or you won't be able to do anything, which is why comeback is something that I like to use in solo queue, but I don't really use in competitive, but usually I play with team comps that are going to enable me and have good specials to get me in and play off of. This is also a really good standard build. There'll be a lot of matchups where QR just doesn't get you much value, because most of the time you'll be getting a pick before you die, or you just like are sharking most of the time and you won't really be trying to feed in. So something like this where you really need to sneak up to people, it's having Ninja Squid is really good, and then also having the extra quick super jump is really helpful because you can be super annoying just going in, getting picks and jumping out. It's kind of just vibes for me. Like if I can't get close enough without Ninja Squid, or I never have good angles to get in, then having Ninja Squid is really useful. It's also nice sometimes against chargers or like backlines in general. Like it'll be harder for a leader to snipe you from across the map if they can't really tell where you're swimming. Ninja Squid is good against comps that have no short range. With QR, it's nice to just fight short-range weapons, win your fights, get traded out and stuff like that. But against really heavy mid-range comps, something like Slosher, Squeezer, Pen, Shot, for example, where they don't have that many short-range weapons, I think Ninja Squid is a little better, because Ninja Squid does give you the option to like sneak up to those mid-range weapons that you can't just run at with QR. Whereas like short-range weapons like Splash, Gal, you can usually just walk up and trade with them, like with QR. So Ninja Squid is really helpful in those situations. This is the third comp that I use in comp. It's really similar to the Ninja Squid build, but just without Ninja Squid, and it focuses more on quick super jump. It's really good for when you aren't going to get good value out of quick respawn, and when you don't think you need Ninja Squid to get in. And the extra swim speed up does help you get in without Ninja Squid, it just is a little bit more predictable at times. This build is really good if you don't plan on running Cooler, because Cooler does hinder the Ninja Squid build a tiny bit. It's still good to play Ninja Squid with Cooler, it's just obviously you aren't going to get the benefits of Ninja Squid when you have Cooler active. And this is also good against slower comps that can't fight you out as easily. So like, stuff that doesn't have a lot of aggro, like more defensive comps, like something like Explo, Junior, Shot, Inkbrush, like none of those weapons can really win a 1v1 against you head on besides maybe Shot, or like a brush if it sharks you out. So a build like this is really nice because you can just keep up the pressure, constantly get picks, keep jumping out, keep making plays like that. This last build I don't really use for competitive, I do use it a lot for solo queue. It is nice because you have the comeback to play around your bubbles, and you really need to play around your own bubbles in solo queue. You can't rely on your teammate specials to do anything. It also does have the 4 quick super jump and Ninja Squid, since solo players are often like way worse at playing around Ninja Squid, and then the quick super jump helps you get in and out of places. Yeah, it's pretty simple. I am going to put a quick summary of all my builds on the screen and the different situations I think you should use them in, but ultimately it is up to preference. Like, you can use any of these builds, you can use your own builds, if you have different things that you want to try, these are just the abilities that I personally recommend using and the ones that I find the most success with. This is my personal list for which modes I think are good and bad for roller. It is just my personal preference and it does include all modes, at least all modes that are regularly played in tournament. I wouldn't really use this for anything besides potentially deciding which maps you want to and don't want to pick for tournaments with your teammates. Now, I'm going to go over several team comps that I've come up with for roller, explain how to play them, and explain what roller's role is in each comp. This is a standard roller comp. It's inspired by one of the current best Western teams. Along with roller in this comp, you want 2 support weapons that have good specials, and a fighting buddy for roller. In my opinion, the best fighters to pair with roller in this comp are 52, Slosher, 96, Squeezer, and Dualies. All of these weapons do a really good job of stalling for roller and attracting attention so roller can shark near them or get in from an off angle. The only exception to that is Slosher. Slosher is an extremely strong weapon right now, with good access to strikes, bombs, and decent paint. It's just a really good fighting partner for roller. For your supports, usually you will want one cooler, but you can play without coolers as long as both your supports have a strong entry special. In general, these slots are pretty flexible, so you can try playing what you like, but in my opinion, the best supports for roller are Shot and Insplash, and the best anchor supports are Edit and Pencil. Having an anchor with cooler is really nice for roller, since they're the ones that tend to stay alive the most, and they'll be the most reliable for getting coolers. And it's also nice to have a support shooter with a strong entry special, since they're usually the ones that are able to spam the most. I'd also like to mention that if your other fighting weapon doesn't have a strong lethal bomb, it's important to make sure that one of your supports does. This is an extremely consistent core for roller, and doesn't have many major downsides. Roller serves as the primary slayer in this team composition, and in most comps, which means that your team needs to know how to play around the roller. Frontlines need to specifically pair up with roller, and the supports need to make sure that they keep paying up for roller and pop specials specifically for them to move. Roles and positions aren't static, and they can change throughout the course of the game. This is just general advice on how to play around roller. At times, the roller will need to play slower and play to support the other fronts. You can use double bubble if you also have a consistent strike user, or a crab/Zuka. You can use double cooler if you have a strong entry special. Weapons that can stall well work especially well with double cooler, like 96, Squeezer, Dualies, or Gal. If you choose to run coolerless, you should use at least 2 strong entry specials to play off of. This comp is similar to the standard roller comp, except it replaces the support for another fighting weapon. Because of this, it's important that your other weapons have good special and paint output, since you can't always rely on your support to spam out entry specials for you. If you don't run cooler, it's much better to run this core than the standard core in my opinion. However, you need to make sure you have a reasonable amount of paint and specials for entry, so you can push in and get good bubbles down. In this comp, the roller needs to play for the other aggros. This means waiting for them to go in and make opportunities for the roller to push. As a roller, you can shark near your teammates, or wait for them to pull and distract multiple players so you can shark in, take space aggressively, or look to pincer/assist them in a team fight. You can still make your own plays, it's just up to you and your teammates to understand when it's their turn to engage fights and create opportunities, and when it's time to follow up and assist other teammates' fights. This comp is a lot more restricted since it's specifically geared to make roller work with selfish backlines. Basically, any backline or anchor that gets picks and plays aggressively and has little paint or special output. I personally don't like playing roller with these types of weapons, but it can definitely work. If you run coolerless with this comp, you can replace the cooler slot with any good stalling weapon. A skirmisher or painter with bubble or wall would be good. I have relatively little experience playing with tent, but the main goal is to shark a lot, and play either in the tent shield or off of the tent shield/skirmisher distracting. It's kind of like a bait comp, where everyone is really annoying and fights a lot, then out of nowhere you can show up as roller when they were busy fighting something else. This comp can be run coolerless with little to no issues, since you have tent and a skirmisher to stall. But the comp works great with cooler as well. I'd say it's still optimal for the most part. Sharking is an essential part of roller gameplay, so I thought I'd quickly touch on it and give some advice. When sharking, you want to think where the enemy team has to move to make progress. In considering that, ask yourself what would be the most annoying spot for you to be in that moment. It's usually better to shark safely over taking a greedy position that you can get punished for. Wait for your opponents to make a mistake. Don't give them anything for free. Use teammates or the objective as bait. Try to see where the enemy's attention is, and play around it. It can be a good idea to get seen, and then quickly rotate to another part of the map. Often, people won't expect your position if they've seen you recently and called you out to their team. Roller is one of the few weapons that has a lot of pressure by not being on the map, so it can be beneficial to take your shark slower and make the enemy team waste time trying to clear you. Be creative with your sharking positions. If they're too obvious, or if you shark in the same position multiple times, it'll be easier to catch you out. Sharking in the open can be fine, as long as you won't get one shot and you have a safe way to escape if it goes poorly. It's a good idea to shark near cover or ledges. It makes you harder to clear, less vulnerable, and gives you better fighting aim. Before I go over the replay, I want to talk about the flow of the game. I'm going to use a few replays as examples, and hopefully present each part of the game or game state and what you should be doing in them. At the start of the game, I'm sharking, waiting for something to happen, like an opponent overextending or a teammate popping a special. On some maps, it's a good idea to start by taking a side and trying to control a ledge. Here in Barnacle, I go left at the start to see if they leave it open. They don't, but fortunately my shark pays off and I get a lucky triple. You'll notice that I immediately go to teamfight the last player, and then take as much space as I can. To get a successful push, you need to take as much space as possible, and then hold it for as long as possible. At this point we've gone from neutral to advantage. When I'm looking to hold an advantage, I'm always doing one of three things: trying to get a pick, sharking, or looking to get special. In this situation, I have cooler, so I look to make an aggressive play and get a good trade if there's enemy to drop early. When I come back with cooler, I'm still looking to hold space with my special. I don't play as aggressively, and I look to set up a bubble to prevent the enemy team from pushing in. The enemy gal makes a good play, and I don't properly defend my bubble, letting the enemy team take control. At this point we're back in neutral. We win the team fight, and now we have an advantage. It's not as good as the wipeout we got at the start, but with our special and man advantage, I look to take space as quickly as possible and take a team fight with my team. Later in the game, in neutral, I do a similar thing. I sit in a safe position and patiently wait for an advantage or an opponent out of position to get a pick on and convert that into a push. The last phase of the game that I want to cover before moving on is retaking on defense. At this point in the game, my team just went several players down and we have a significant disadvantage. The first thing I do is look to punish any players that are overextended and safely fight them with my team. Next, I look for a shark in, or wait for my team to pop their specials to give me entry. At the same time, I need to play for my special and look to get a special on objective. I know this isn't the perfect example, but I hope you can see how you're supposed to play patiently on defense and work with your teammates to be able to get back in the mid. Now I'm going to look over a replay of a game I did well in to show my thought process in games and highlight what I did well with and what mistakes I made so you can know what to do and not to do in games. At the start of the game, it's a really good idea to look at the enemy comp and see what might give you trouble. So against this team, they have a Stamper, a Blaster, a Pencil, and a Neosplash. I know already that the Blaster is going to be annoying for me because they have Point Sensor, which will make it harder for me to move in and harder for me to get sharks off. And with Stamper, Pen, and Neosplash, they have way more paint output. I mean, not way more, but they have like enough paint output that they can hold really well. So I can't just hold forward into them and expect to not get caught out. And I can't shark in any greedy positions because they'll paint over me really quickly. But overall, the only thing that should really give me problems fighting at close range is the Blaster. So as long as I play around that, I should be able to get picks. On any map that has a ledge, you want to go to the ledge like as soon as you can on opening, like on the right or left side. So like Museum, Haggle, Inkblot. Here, immediately, I'm checking my map to see if the Pencil's watching, and they're not. So I go to the right side to try to look for a pick. The Blaster's there and I hit it, but instead of committing to the fight, I'm just going to jump back and wait for cooler and let my team scare the Blaster away. It's a lot safer. With Roller, in general, whenever you're in like a somewhat dangerous position and you don't know if it's going to be safe enough, it's okay to just jump back. That's why you also run a lot of quick super jump. It's really easy to just jump back and stay alive and then reposition for later. At this point, my teammate pops bubble. I know I'm also close to my bubble, so I'm kind of playing for it. Since they pop strikes, they're going to likely try to push up with it, and it's a good idea for me to just sit here, wait a minute, and paint. At this point, we have cooler, but my team goes 2 down. I do want to get the cooler before I back up, but I'm also close to bubble, so I'm going to try to paint for bubble and then pop it to hold space. As soon as I get bubble, I pop it. I'm already under a lot of pressure, so it's kind of risky. If the Stamper killed me, like, as the bubble was going up, this could have been really bad, but I end up being able to, not secure a pick, but I get to scare them off, and they pop zip, and it's not as useful. Here I just jump back because the Blaster already got a shot at me, and since I have cooler, I can instantly jump back. Also, since I have cooler, I can make an aggressive play and drop right here. I know that the Stamper or the Blaster is likely going to look to take this ledge quickly, since they have cooler and they have like paint advantage, man advantage, they just use specials. They need to do something with it. So I'm just going to instantly drop right and look for a pick, and if I die, I just have cooler and it's not a big deal. My team is up and they can win the space back anyways. But it does work out, and since the Neosplash went up to support the Blaster, I get the pick on them as well, because this was a really good play. And now since they're 2 down, with the rest of my team, I just want to hold forward into the last person and try to take as much space as we can. My team does go 2 down here, which is unfortunate, but I'm still alive and I can hold all this space with my bubble, and I end back in the upper paint up and down. It's just a good spot to be in. Since I have bubble and they have strikes, I'm gonna likely just shark and wait for them to pop special. I don't really want to pop bubble anywhere because they'll just strike it out anyways and it'll be a waste. Here I should have been more careful. I wasn't looking where I was going and I didn't hear the bomb, so I died to the section. It's just an awareness issue. As soon as I'm back, I noticed that the blaster went down and we have cooler, so it's likely a good opportunity for me to try to take space with my team. Since they did pop zip behind, we don't really get anything. We do win this space, and I get to camp the zip trap, which is good. Here I make a greedy play though. I want to punish the splashdown, but I tunnel vision on it, and I don't see the bomb that was placed behind the wall and I die to it. It's not the end of the world though, because I did pick the stamper, and I'm back fast with cooler. I'll also have my bubble soon, so I can hold it in the space that they try to take. My team does a good job and gets picks down though, so we get to win all this space back, and I get to hold bubble on their side of the map. This position is really good to shark in. It's not like a committal position like being far left under the ledge or far right under their ramp ledge. I can kind of rotate to whatever my team wants to do because my teammate was already taking space in front of me. And since the stamper on tent was looking at my mini on their ramp, I got to easily pick it off. Here, I think the bubble was a good idea in theory because I wanted to hold my position and they knew where I was, but the blaster killed me before it went off. I could have probably just popped the bubble earlier. At this point, we are close to winning the game, and we have bubble up, so we should be able to hold for a while. I know that the Neo Splash is going to be close to strikes and popping them soon, and we have complete paint over zone, as well as a bubble that's being placed further up into the side. So I know they're distracted, like they're going to be distracted. They're going to be looking at my teammate's bubble, they're going to be looking at strike in the zones, so it should be pretty free for me to run through and try to look for a pick. And worst case scenario, I just jump back since I picked super jump, or I come back faster with the respawn. Getting the pick on the blaster is really good here, but they are able to cap the zone with strikes and the pencil. But since the Neo Splash was focused on capping zone, I get to come in and get a free pick here, which is really good. And since they're basically 2 down, we get to take a lot of space. It is important for me to get cooler first though. And now that I have cooler, I can hold a really good position here. They do have splashdown still since they died with it, so they'll get it back fast. They had cooler as well. But we have Zuka already. I get to just play around the ledges, jump back, be annoying here. Again, I'm just looking for as many picks around ledges as I can. I have cooler, so it's pretty safe to go for greedy plays. Like I can just do one swing and then jump back if it doesn't work out, like I just did with the blaster. So I'm just gonna keep on trying to go in and out looking for picks. I do get a lucky pick on the pencil. At this point, I'm in a kind of weird spot. They know I'm here. I'm just, yeah. Like the blaster easily picked me there, but it was fine because my teammate was able to follow up. I probably could have just sharked, or instead of going in this position, it would have been better for me to just like heal up and or even go bottom left because it would be safer. There's nothing that has the range to clear me out of there. But instead, I make a greedy play when I'm already low and try to fight with the rest of my team. It is fine overall though. So I will be close to bubble when I'm back, and my teammates did get to kill the blaster. It's not the end of the world. At this point, it's neutral. They have special and we don't, so I'm just sitting on our side, maybe looking for a shark or a flank, but I really just want to paint for my special and make sure that they can't get in. Since they just pop strikes, they have a zipcaster and they're all in mid. I know that they're going to try to take space or like push through and just like look for a pick or do something. So I'm mostly looking for a shark and looking to get a defensive bubble up since I'm really close. So they have all of mid to move through, and I'm close to bubble. So here I'm gonna try to get a good defensive bubble up probably. Yeah, and I do pop bubble, which is really good. At that point, it's too late and the zip is gonna end soon anyway. So I just go back to bubble and try to hold it, just because the blaster tried to rush. At this point, it's 2v2, and it's just like the pencil left. So I can take space with my mini. My mini goes to engage on the stamper, but since I'm low, I don't want to make the same mistake I did earlier where I tried to help with the blaster, but I was half health. So I just heal up first, and then I go. As soon as the stamper's cleared out, since I have cooler, I want to just set up on the left side, try to get under ledge. I can't really move into their ramp since the pencil's watching me, so I just go left side. But I do get marked, and since I'm marked, and they have multiple teammates watching me at this point, I'm just gonna stall out the left side. If I didn't have Cooler, I'd probably back up or try to take a safer position, but since I have Cooler here, I can just be annoying and hold this left side, get attention for as long as I can, and then live out. It doesn't really accomplish much, but it does give my team time to just hold mid, get their specials, while the enemy team is busy looking at me. And since they were looking at me on the left side, I dragged them left, I backed up. They shouldn't know that I'm going to go right. I have a pretty free flank here. There shouldn't be anybody watching right, and if they are, they probably aren't expecting me to go right here, so I do get a free pick. And immediately after the pick, I jump back. They're going to have teammates watching me, and I can't really cross from that right side, so it's better for me to just back up and play with my team. Here, I put on a bad curling bomb. I wanted to curling to keep them away so we could get capped, but as they pop strikes, I probably could have KO'd here if I had the ink to paint over, but I didn't because I used curling. After they recap zone, it's safe for me to just regroup with my team. We popped bubble and cooler, so I can just chill, and I'm close to my bubble, and I know that they don't have any counters currently because they just use strikes, so it should be okay for me to just wait and then get my bubble and then look for a play with that. I do notice here that they get splashdown, so I can't really go for a greedy bubble immediately when I get it, because they'll just run up and splash down it. It's always a good to keep in mind when they have checks to your bubble. At this point, I know that the blaster is going to move through strikes and look for a splashdown, and I can't really hold it with bubble, because if I pop bubble, they'll just be able to rush me down. So I just look to reposition, play safer, back up a bit. But since the blaster does splash down right side, I know I can drop left and look for a flank with my bubble. They should have no idea that I'm flanking here. I just got screened out by the splashdown. I have a special, so even if they do check me, I'm free to just pop bubble and then win the fight. Fortunately, my team also wins the 2v1 in front, and since it's just a pencil left, I know that I can take space. With front lines in general, it's really important to just take space quickly whenever you can. Like, I keep bringing this up and you'll notice it in my gameplay. Every time we get any kind of advantage, I'm as quickly as I can, I'm trying to run to the front and fight anyone who's left, or just paint up and get into a good position. But this game is all about holding space, making it harder for you to push back in. I mean, especially for rollers, since you can play around your sharks in your bubble. It's kind of your whole game plan, you just want to hold space as long as you can. I don't like that my shot is sharking in front of me here, because that's a position that I would rather be in, but I'm going to use this as bait, hopefully. Once they group the shot, they won't expect someone else to be right behind them, so I should be able to get a pick. They also have zip and they have strikes, so I know that they're going to be popping specials soon. It's right at the end of the game, basically. Like, they need to cap zone here, so they're going to be desperate to push in, and I should be able to secure a pick on the left side if I play well. I do catch the blaster dropping. Since the blaster expected me to be sharking here, you'll notice that they were really carefully painting in front of the ledge and clearing the area. But since I decided, once someone expects you to shark in a position, you can shark a little behind that, and they usually won't expect that. Like, as soon as the blaster feels like this situation is safe for them to drop in, like this area is painted, they're gonna drop and I get a free pick. It's a good idea in cases like this to shark behind, or further back. I don't get to get a pick here, which is kind of just a mechanical issue. I probably could have secured a pick there and won the game, but I ran out of ink and just have to live on our side instead. Helping kill the blaster is good too. Also, as soon as we see the stamper on the left side, I know they're alone, so we can easily just 2v1 it, but unfortunately I missed the horizontal and my teammates can't finish it off either. That's honestly just like an unlucky situation. I could have maybe gone for a vertical flip to secure the kill. It's fine. They're 2 down. At this point, they're 2 down. I have bubble since I died with cooler. I'm back fast. I'm just going to move as fast as I can, bubble up, and hold space. My teammate dying here is unfortunate because my bubble basically gets no value. And at this point, I know staying in my bubble won't do anything. So I'm just going to drop left and try to get attention. I'm not even trying to get a pick when I drop left here. I just want the enemy team to look at me, because if I get the attention of the enemy team, that lets my teammates take space and move up into my bubble that I placed. So here, I'm dropping left, like I'm just shooting because I want to get them to look at me, like I'm not doing anything greedy. And as soon as they start like actually physically rotating to me, like the stamper's going to start moving left to try to fight me, I'm just going to jump back. Stampers move left, the pencil's looking, well, they were looking left side, and that gave my team a little bit of space to retake our core. At this point, it is a scary situation because my mini just went down and we popped Zuka, and we're not getting any value out of it. So we are down, and I used bubble, so we have like no resources to get back in. At this point, I did a really bad fight against this blaster. I shot at them, and I don't know, I just forgot the cooler was there. I thought I could fire over it, but I got 0 hits on it. Since the blaster wasn't looking at me, they were looking at my shot, I easily could have just walked into melee range and one-shot the blaster, and this would have been safer. But fortunately, my shot does secure the kill. And I think my pen gets a kill as well on zone, so we get to recap easily. That's the end of the game. That's the end of the video. If you liked it, add me on Pokemon Go or something. I hope you got some good information out of this video, and I hope you learned something. And if not, I hope you at least enjoyed it a little. If you want more roller content, you can check out my montage that I just uploaded. It's only a minute long, so you may as well watch it. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching.